I'm Gabriel Ritchie.
I'm Jeremiah Mccollum.
Welcome to the Ritchie and Mecco Connection, episode 31. We have a fantastic episode for you guys today, folks. Special guest Sani is here with us. Sani, say hello to the people.
What's good? What's good?
This
Appreciate you guys having me on.
this guy, this is
Of
like
course.
honestly, in no disrespect to all our other guests, we've had some amazing guests. Just talking to Sani, I haven't talked to him too much. Jay, I feel like this guy might make us look small in comparison when it comes to like what he knows about the game of basketball and football.
I'm
But
excited.
that
I appreciate
that being
it.
said, we're gonna get into it. Before we get going, guys, big announcement tomorrow night: Warriors Blazers. It's gonna be on ESPN, 10 o'clock. Me and Jay will be calling the game. Sort of calling. If you've watched the Manicast, it's pretty similar to the Manicast. We're gonna be doing that basically on this app called Colorcast. This is a opportunity for us to spread our brand, or for lack of a better term, that sounded very corporate. Spread the podcast. We're gonna share it with the people, and hopefully this goes well. So the more of you who tune in, download the app, the better it is for us, the better it is for the podcast. Please tune in. If you're really interested, hit me up with I'll send you the link. We'll post it on our social medias. If you're close to me, I'll share it with you regardless. We've already shared it with a few people. But yeah, tune in tomorrow. You can not only listen to us, it's basically going to be like, you're not going to see us. You're going to be listening to us talk about the game on the
Yeah.
app.
It's like an IG live kind of, but through
Similar,
the app.
yeah, except you can't see us. And also,
Yeah.
if you're really interested, we'll let you in and you can join us
Yeah.
on the cast. So like, let's say it's us, me and Jay are talking. Sani entered the thing. Oh, Sani, we'll put you in the hot seat is what they call it. And
Mm.
we'll chat. And it's basically like the Manicast, except won't be as awkward with the guests because we'll know all the guests and they're not gonna randomly have like Condoleezza Rice on. It was really random. But anyways, we can get to the show today. The Patriots, fresh off a big win in Buffalo last night. You guys, what are your thoughts on this? The Patriots have gotten some space from the rest of the AFC. It's been tight knit the whole time, and they finally have a game up. What do you guys think about the Patriots? And let's start with last night. What do you think about last night?
Oh boy, I just entered the gulag.
Jay's having a little connection issues. Sani, do you want to kick it
Yo,
off?
Man,
All right, I can hear y'all
honestly,
now.
honestly, I think it was a master class. And like I think it was a master class by Belichick. And he keeps proving like why he is like the best, the greatest coach of all time. Like I know I talked to a few people about the game, and they were like, oh, it wasn't a fun game to watch, blah, blah, blah. But to be honest, to like a fan, like I'm a big fan of Belichick of the past, and like he put on a masterclass of just he was playing chess while the Bills were playing checkers, and he ran the ball 45 times or something like that, and passed it 3 times. Like that hasn't been done in so long. Like it was just incredible. I was just geeking out the whole time. Like what am I even watching right now?
So you're a legit football guy, because me and Jay, we were texting. We were a little frustrated. It was impressive to see, and it was a great team win, and it made my feelings about the Patriots even greater. However, it wasn't fun to watch unless you're a real football guy.
No, I definitely agree. It wasn't the most like flashy game or anything, but honestly, like as I'm sitting there, because I'm just rooting for the Pats to win. We need to win to take the first place in the conference. At the end of the day, I'm biased here. Maybe if this is not the Pats, I'm like the same way. Like I'm turning the game off.
For sure.
But like I'm sitting with a couple of my friends, and they're like, "Can we pass the ball?" And I just keep asking, "Why? Why do we need to pass the ball?" Like they haven't shown us anything like that on offense. We're like, Bill just has so much confidence in his defense that it's like we don't need to pass the ball. Let's just run it and win the game. W is a W,
No. Jay, what do you think?
Yeah, man, I agree with Sani, bro. First of all, obviously, as a casual fan, that shit was frustrating as hell. Watching Brandon Bolden toss cracks and fucking Ramondre Stevenson. Actually, I'm not gonna lie, he's tough, man. Ramondre Stevenson, he was running hard, and we saw it in the preseason a little bit. And then it's like they had him in the doghouse because Damian was going crazy all year. But Damian, I think he has the little hamstring issue going on. They was using a lot of Ramondre. He was doing his thing. yeah, man, it's just a reminder that Belichick is a fucking genius. And as much as we can pout on our couch and say, why is Mac throwing it twice a game? Or why the fuck are we running these type of screen passes, this and that? All the complaining, man, he gets the dub at the end of the day. And, that's all we're asking
That's
for,
just
to be
it. That's
honest.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, everything else is just icing on the top. So, Belichick does it again. Honestly, and part of me, I always think Belichick has this ego thing. I think it's part of what drove Brady out of New England. A small percentage of me thinks, Belichick, because
It's a pettiness thing.
I think so. I think it was a lot of Mac hype. Let's be honest. The past few weeks, it's a lot of Mac Jones. Is hey, we got another one. The
Yeah.
quarterback. I think this is
we don't need a
Belichick was
quarterback.
like, hey, literally, it's like I can
We don't
fucking
need
punt it
anybody
and
back
run
there.
it all game.
Yeah.
And not throw it once, and we'll still win the fucking game. They did just that. So Belichick, that evil fuck, man. He's a genius.
That's the most impressive thing about this is they knew the run
Facts.
was coming every time.
Right, bro.
I heard, and I cheated a little, Jay. I did listen to Simmons a little bit before. He said Ramon J. Stevens it was the most impressive 78 yards he had ever seen because
It
they
felt
were
like that.
expecting it,
Yeah.
It was impressive. Sean McDermott, not as impressed with Belichick. I don't know if you guys heard his comments after.
I did. What a loser.
Salty.
Yeah, I know. It's salt.
They were pretty
Wow.
salty. What do you think of Josh Allen last night?
What do you think, Sani?
I mean, I don't know. You can't forget. I agree with everything you said, Jay, but you just also can't forget, like, there was 60-mile-an-hour winds yesterday.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like every time you pass the ball, there's almost a chance of like a pick or like something going wrong. Like, I don't know if you guys saw any of those clips before the game where they kick a practice field goal and it goes so far.
It went
right?
like backwards almost. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So it was like a risk with literally throwing each pass. So like part of it was also like, let's run the ball. Let's eliminate the risk. That's what Pats are. We don't kill ourselves. We don't shoot ourselves in the foot. We just like do our thing and let the other team do that. And I mean, Allen, like, I like the kid. I think he's really good. He's my fantasy quarterback too. So it's also a little biased. But
yeah,
I mean, he did whatever. He had like 50% completion percentage. I think he could have ran the ball more. I think that's what it should have been centered around. I think Allen should have like tried to take off, but it's easy for me to say, watching it from my TV. So it's like, I mean, he zipped a few passes. I think Diggs could have made a play on that touchdown. Although again, like the wind was so bad, like I can't even blame him because
it seemed like Diggs couldn't even track it. It was like they were talking about how he was facing the wrong way. He was supposed to be inside, outside. Yeah, it was weird.
Right. So that's what I mean. Like, I mean, I think Josh, like, I mean, he did okay. He did fine.
Yeah.
Not enough, obviously, but and yeah, the only touchdown they had really was off of a dumb play by N'Keal Harry or who's ever fault that was.
Yeah, that was N'Keal. Oh yeah, I remember that.
Like you got to be better than that. Like, so, but yeah, I mean, I think Josh did his thing. I mean, not enough, obviously. So you got to be a little better than that. But I think it was part of the game plan too. Like Belichick just like suffocated them on defense. They had like one good drive when they got the field goal, maybe two.
Right.
The rest of it couldn't get in the red zone. They couldn't get anything going. So
yeah, I was impressed with the way he threw the ball. I was impressed. Like you said, the mechanics are there. Everything's there. Jay, and we've mentioned this through text and then probably on the podcast. Obviously, Josh Allen's better than Daniel Jones, but I feel similar to the way Daniel Jones has the tools, but it's just not there. Josh Allen is much better than that. He's much clutcher than that, but it's like, you're not really that afraid of him at the end. And similar to a Matt Ryan, like the sacks he took and all that, of course, the Patriots, the front is fantastic. So he's going to get hit, especially in wins like that. And a situation like that, he's going to take some sacks, but some of how far he would go back on everything, he is still that Josh Allen from that wild card game on ESPN a few years
Saturday.
ago. I think they were playing the Texans or something. It's like, what is this guy doing? Did this dude like do coke before the game? All over the place.
That was nuts. Yeah.
And it's like, he's so talented. Every play is a heart attack. You don't know if it's gonna be a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah, he gets tunnel vision sometimes. Like he will pick a receiver, usually Diggs, for good reason. Like that Diggs is nasty, unbelievable. But like he'll pick him and he'll just stick with him. And like you watch a replay and like you see two other guys, two checkdowns wide open, but he'll like force a pass. and like get tipped or whatever. So I definitely think he has some room to grow, a bunch of improvements he can make. But to be honest, like I was talking today at work, like if you had to name top 3 quarterbacks in the AFC, like right now, I mean, I feel like Josh Allen might be one of them, right? Like, I don't know. What
Yeah.
do you
So
guys
it's
think?
such a weird. It's funny you say that. Jay asked me, "Oh, do you want to do rank the quarterbacks in the NFL?" And obviously, we weren't going to do it this week or anything. I'm like, dude, I have no idea. I really have no idea at this point. It's been the weirdest year ever.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
and we mentioned this last week. You know, last decade, early this decade, we kind of took for granted like the guys who were just staples and the guys who were just there year in year out. Like even a Phillip Rivers, like there was guys that every year they were going to be top 10, top 5.
Mhm.
Brady Payton, obviously, and now it's kind of like, you know, Matt Ryan, Cam Newton, those guys were MVPs, and now what would you do with them?
Right.
Lamar Jackson, you never know. It's similar to a Josh Allen. Like you never really know what you're getting from that guy, depending on the day, depending on the play.
Right.
So yeah, it's weird. I don't know. Jay, who would your top 3 quarterbacks in the AFC be? I'm still gonna put Mahomes. I still
Yeah,
have
yeah.
to.
Same. I had no. Yeah,
It's like
he'll figure it
Yeah.
out.
yeah.
You have to throw
Mahomes.
Mahomes in there for sure. I guess you have to throw Josh Allen in there and maybe Lamar right now, but like after Mahomes, you don't feel good about any of those
I agree.
guys.
I do feel
Maybe
you.
Herbert, because like some weeks Herbert will looks amazing, then Burrow will look unreal,
Burrow.
and then fucking I don't know, Derek Carr will have nice where it's like, is this guy the best quarterback in the league? Like y'all both said, it's a really weird year, especially for quarterbacking. Back to Josh Allen though, yeah, man, it's weird because last year it looked like he was just about to take off, and we were just gonna have like an MVP type season from him this season. But I mean, I don't want to say he regressed because obviously I don't know how. Like this is just me not being the football expert. I don't know how much is the playbook or how much is it the players around him this year from last year. Like it's so much like different questions that I have to answer before I can know if he really did regress or like if it's a fluke or whatever. But yeah, man, last night, like y'all both said, it was rough, especially in the red zone. I think they had 6, 7, I don't like it was a lot of trips in the red zone and they came up empty a lot of times.
Yeah.
And I feel like when there's like empty red zone trips, it's probably a combination of play calling, but also quarterback play.
Yeah.
Because you got to really be on your toes and make good decisions in the red zone. Because
right.
like teams are going to know what you're doing, depending on if it's like a first and goal from the 2, you know, you're probably going to run. Teams know that. So Josh Allen might be to blame there. That being said, though, yeah, the Pats still were able to get it done. And back to you mentioned this earlier, Sani, how Belichick was just like, we can't beat ourselves. That's probably why he just said, fuck it, we're not throwing, which it's ridiculous. And, you know, pundits on TV, whatever, or fans like myself gonna get upset. But man, like in his head, it's like, if I know there's just a slight chance that this ball is going to travel 10 feet this way and it's going to get picked for a pick 6 and that already puts us down 7-0, like I'll just cut it right now. And he's cutthroat like that. He operates like that for the past 20 years and, you know, he has the hardware to show for it. So who are we to question him, you know?
I don't know if you guys know, like if you guys watched the game all the way through, the last 2 plays when like the game was basically over, but Mac, like instead of just taking a knee, he took like a few steps back at the knee
to run the clock out.
He literally, Belichick was like, nah, we're not even going to punt the ball and give him a chance to do anything. We're going to make sure like we win right here, right now. So yeah, it just goes to say like, you know, he'll get that dub no matter what. He literally like,
he thinks about every
Yep.
scenario that has ever happened in NFL history. Like, what if that happens to us right now? What if there's a Deshaun Jackson versus the Giants?
I mean, they changed the rules because of him. You know what I mean? Like, it's
constantly.
crazy.
Yeah, they always change the rules because of him.
He's a revolutionary, man.
Nick Folk. What, like, this is my thing. And Sani, we are sort of talking about this before we got on. Our Bucks Patriots, like the pie of who we care about more, me and Jeremiah. And it's like, my thing with the Patriots is, and Patriots fans, where they just, I felt like they got a little too, and I said this last week, that if they were to play right now, the Patriots would beat the Bucks. I feel that. However, at the time when they played, everybody's like, oh, if they just make that field goal. I'm like, this dude isn't a slouch. Like it wasn't a 20-yard chip in. It was in the rain. It was like 50 plus. you are relying on, and he's a good kicker. You're relying on that to win the game for you. You weren't in the position to win. You got there with a bullshit penalty. That being said, the reason I say that is it wasn't a fluky kick he missed. He's a really good kicker. He's probably a Pro Bowler this year. I think if his name wasn't Nick Folk and he wasn't on a million teams beforehand, he'd be getting talked about way more. What do you guys think?
You go ahead, Sani.
Nick Folk thoughts.
Well, to be honest with you, with that whole Bucks thing, this is where I'm going to take a dig at Belichick, because we 100%, like, I have no idea. Like, there's nobody can convince me that we should kick that field goal there, because, okay, he makes the field goal. That's fine. We trust in him. He's the best just in time, whatever. He makes it. Brady has admitted in 2 timeouts and down by 2 points. Are you kidding me? Like, this is like giving the game away to Brady.
I think wanted him to make it just to see that, or see it possibly happen.
I knew it was coming. I wasn't even getting excited when he missed it. I was like, whatever. At least I don't have to watch Brady do it to us, you know. So it was like, you go for 4th and 3, and I don't know if you guys remember the 3rd and 3 play, wide open receiver. Like, it was a great play design. Was a great defensive D lineman. I forget who it was. He tips the ball. Awesome play, but the guy was wide open. Just go for it again. Like, if you get it there, you basically win the game, assuming Nick Folk makes like a 40-something yarder. So I think that was the problem with that. I don't think, like, and again, we beat them, whatever. Like, the Bucks, once they get going, man, when Brady gets going, like, if he wins, he won this week. It was a good win.
We'll get into them in a minute.
They win a few games in a row. They go through playoffs. Like, once they get hot, like, good luck stopping them. Like, I'm not delusional. I'm not gonna be like, yo, Pats are gonna win it all this year. Like, now do I feel better each week that, like, oh, okay, now I feel better about us being able to, you know, go against the Chiefs or whatever. But for sure, but, like, you know, we're still young. You never know with rookie quarterbacks in playoffs. Like, there's a lot of things at stake. So Brady's still, like, he'll be fine. Like, that team will be fine, I think, and they'll do their thing.
And that kind of goes to my final question. Like, you kind of alluded to it. Like, how do you guys feel overall about this Patriots team? Like, in the long run, are they Super Bowl contenders? Can they survive a shootout? They will eventually run into a team that's gonna figure them out. You know,
that's the best question, bro.
It's not going to be a 60. I mean, it could be if they play Buffalo again, because Buffalo weather, but it's not going to be that situation. It's not going to be Tennessee last week. And by the way, I'm not diminishing the Patriots' success. I'm just saying it's not going to be Tennessee without their 3 best weapons. It's not going to be the goofy Chargers. Like, they're going to be running into some serious teams in the playoffs. Like, how do we really feel about them?
Man, I think that's the most important question you asked, Gabe, is how are they going to handle like a shootout? Because, you know, Mac has had some good games, but we've yet to see him like really let it fly. I'm talking about like 400 yards, 4 TDs type, letting it fly.
Right.
So, or maybe they might not have to. Maybe the run game, like,
there's a chance they don't have to. Yeah, that's always a possibility, but that's a very low possibility.
The thing with Belichick and the Pats, it almost feels as if like they, like, a lot of the games that they're in, they influence the style of the game,
right?
Which is just such a credit to Belichick, of course. So, like, even games against the Chiefs, you know, we always expected Kansas City's about to light it up, and then it'll be like 13-10 through 3 quarters, and it's raining, and Belichick has to smirk.
But they do. That AFC Championship game a couple of years ago, we held them off for a half, but then they turned up, roaring back.
Yeah,
and Brady and Gronk aren't going to be around to finish the job this time.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a good question, man, because if the Chiefs, we know, I mean, I'll say the only team I'm really afraid of in the AFC, like, Tennessee, if they get Derrick Henry back, that would be serious because, you know, he's OP. But, like, the only team I'm really afraid of in the AFC is Kansas City.
Right.
And that it's funny because that's the only team that can really get into a shootout or just start lighting it up. So it's honestly tough to answer that question because, man, like, even KC, they have question marks because, like, this, then again,
it's a weird year.
Like this past Sunday night, this is like you're just expecting Mahomes to light up Denver. It's Teddy Two Gloves. It's Sunday night. You know, Collinsworth is going to be like, it's Patrick. Starts having an orgasm over every Mahomes throw. But like they
the left
flat.
hand 2 yards.
Did you guys? I mean, come on. But like they look kind of spooky against Denver. So it's just so hard to predict this AFC, man. I guess that's the point I'm trying to get at. It's really hard to tell. That being said, though, I do think the Pats can beat any team on any given night. I
Right.
think that's possible.
Sonny.
We'll see though.
No, yeah, 100%. I mean, I think Kansas City like is the biggest question mark for the Pats. But honestly, to me, like if your question is who can we beat, blah blah, whatever it is, man, like if we can stay healthy, and that's like number one thing with
Right.
NFL, man. Like I'm knocking on wood as we speak, but like we've been pretty healthy all year. And it's funny because yesterday I was talking to my friend and he brought it up to me. I was like, yeah, we've been healthy, but like it's NFL. And then Judon went down, Damian Harris. I mean, Judon came back. Phillips, whatever happened to him, I have no idea what even happened. It's like, if we can be healthy, I do think like we have what it takes to go up against anybody. Kansas City, again, if they figure it out and Mahomes is Mahomes and he's not turning the ball over.
The
GG.
sleeping giant, really, is what they are.
Yeah. But like Tennessee, man, like I was actually at that game. I was in Foxborough
Oh,
for
wow.
that game. It was great. It was, awesome game because we played well against them. But
Yeah.
they ran all over us that game. Like
Facts.
that's I one.
It was a really
thing
good
about-
football game that
It
people don't
was.
remember. That
Yeah.
score was
It was
not.
a close game.
It was
a
closer
close
than the
game.
score said.
For sure.
Absolutely. It's just like they were actually driving on us. Like they were running all over. Foreman was running, and then that's again Pat's defense. You have I think JC. I forget who it was. Knocks the ball out after like a 30-yard run by
JC Jackson,
Foreman.
yeah.
I
Sounds
think it
like
was
JC
JC.
Jackson.
Pooh, that kid is nasty. But knocks the ball out and we get the ball back and that kind of like gave us separation. But the point being is both of those running backs ran over 100 yards on us. So Tennessee, like they get Henry back, he will get his. But the thing is, like you want to beat the Pats, you're going to have to start throwing the ball at some point, right? Like you can run over us. Our defense is like, I think somewhere around middle of the pack against the run. So like, that's why I'm a little bit worried again about Indy coming off a bye week. But like you can run all over us, but once you're gonna have to start to throw the ball, you better dial up some plays because like Belichick will throw some stuff at you and you like figure it out type of thing. So
Yeah.
I do think like Chiefs is like I think AFC Championship is very realistic for us,
sure.
Assuming we stay healthy. And then that game, who knows what happens if we have the home field.
Yeah, especially I was just gonna say that, especially if they have the bye, uber important this year, and then also historically.
Right.
People they just don't really win in Foxborough.
Yeah.
Whether it's the Patriots demolishing you or some magic coming out of nowhere, you know?
It is. Yeah, 100%. Like if we get the home field, which is right now, I mean, we got two tough games coming up. Tough games. Again, like we're coming off a bye. Indy's also on a bye this week, so they'll prepare.
Yeah.
We go to Indy to play that cold steam. That's
not a fun place to play. As the Bucs saw last week.
I'm worried about it. Not that I'm worried. I mean, I'm sure Belichick will figure like he has a whole whatever
owns the
week
Colts
to figure it out. Yeah,
doesn't matter who's their quarterback.
Again, Carson Wentz. Like I know he's been playing well and all, but let's see, man. Like what can you do when you're gonna have to throw the ball? Because I'm sure JT will get his, but like you're gonna have to start throwing the ball.
He's gonna throw it right to JC Jackson.
Right
dude.
to JC.
I'll tell you what he's doing. I don't.
Yeah.
He's a foregone conclusion. We'll get to a couple others when we talk about the NFL in general in a second. Let's talk about the former quarterback for the Patriots, Brady. Jeremiah, your fantasy quarterback. My fantasy receiver, Chris Godwin, had quite the day. That was a pretty good win.
It was.
They're starting to trend up again, and this is right around the time last year where they got it going. I don't even really have much to say about this. I just really like they're just a completely different team when Gronk's playing.
Yeah.
AB or no AB, which we don't really need to spend time on him. It's just a really goofy situation. And it's really sad that I'm not surprised at all.
Right. Yeah. No surprise.
Some of these
there.
receivers get so many chances at life. And it's like, I guess when you're that talented, you do, but
it really is the diva position. Like they live up to that.
Yeah. It's like, dude, come on. Get it together. Anyways, yeah, Gronk just opens everything up for the Bucs, which is another reason why I'm not like I didn't like Patriots fans pumping their chests after almost beating the Buccaneers. Like that was the Buccaneers at their absolute worst. Gronk completely changes the game. It opens up the field not just for him, but like, you know, you got Godwin being able to catch 15 passes in a game, and you got Evans being able to streak down the field. Really impressive. The defense is starting to come alive. Sue looked really good. Villa is a beast. Anything to add on, Jay? We don't need to spend too much time on the Bucks. If you
Yeah,
guys don't
I
have anything
mean,
to say.
it was one of those just, Brady owns Atlanta. I mean, they started off hot. Remember, it was just all throws because last week or the week before it was a Leonard Fournette. Fucking just like he was
Tennessee,
calling the
baby.
I was
plays.
going against Leonard Fournette.
Yeah,
Sonny, the
it
commissioner in
was
our
so
league.
bad.
The commissioner in our league is historically awful at fantasy. He had Leonard Fournette against me and still lost.
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
He gotta
lose.
retire. He gotta
He should
retire. I'm
retire, but
sorry.
he's gonna keep coming back. He's
Oh,
gonna keep coming
Oogie.
back, and I promise you, he's listening right now.
Oh, for sure.
Playoffs.
Playoff Lenny. But yeah, man, it was the
Lenny.
complete opposite this game. It was all throwing. The Falcons were staying in similar to the Pats. I feel like the Bucks rush defense is not as strong as like people would think it is. Because in that first half, Cordero and fucking Mike Davis, who had to take fantasy points for me, like they was running all over. Yeah, no, fantasy so toxic. But they was running. It was going crazy in that first half, and it was like, oh man. But then you remind yourself, Matt Ryan is their quarterback, and every time like the Falcons are about to drive or they got some momentum or Kyle Pitts makes a big play, Matt Ryan, he'll either take a sack or he'll miss someone.
The worst ever. The worst ever. He takes
so
a sack at the
horrible.
worst.
I think he like if you give
he's so bad
below average / average quarterback to that Falcons team.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what their record is, but they have at least three more
You
wins.
think so? I feel that way
maybe,
about
bro. Yeah.
Because the thing is, like, I mean, I watch a decent amount of Falcon games. I mean, I watch Red Zone most of the time, but like when I do watch him, man, Kyle Pitts is a problem. Like,
he's a force.
People don't understand how overpowered he is because Matt Ryan just does not make plays. Like Matt Ryan will see, like,
I have him on
there'll
fantasy.
be a wide open Pitts, whoever else, and he will throw to double coverage to like Gage or something.
Gage, Gage was the legit
dude.
Man,
his facial
like,
expressions too after like he makes a mistake. It's like, oh,
it's
and I said this.
to watch.
If you're watching football for the first time, or if you're watching Matt Ryan for the first time, you're like, oh, this guy's really good, and he's just like he's having bad luck today. It's like, no, these things happen because of him, because of his lack of ability to get rid of the ball in time. I've never seen someone shoot their team in the leg by taking 8-yard sacks. I mean, we saw it in Super Bowl 51. It was happening before then. It's happening after. We talked about foregone conclusions just like 3 minutes ago. He's somebody who comes to mind where I'm like Jay, Brady throws that pick going into half. It was a weird pick. I literally didn't sweat. I was like, that sucks. I don't want Brady to have picks, but zero part of me thinks Atlanta's beating the Patriots. Matt beating the Bucks. Matt Ryan's not letting that happen.
Right. Exactly.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, man. And it sucks because even go ahead, Gabe.
Just to finish, another guy, Jimmy Garoppolo. I told you that. I was like, he's not coming through here. There's no way Jimmy Garoppolo comes through here. There's a bunch of guys like that in the league.
Yeah, man. And it sucks too because Atlanta's defense was actually playing well. Like they was forcing turnovers. They was getting to Brady. Like
good team.
They were really holding it down. Yeah, you're right, Sonny. They're
team.
pretty talented team, top to bottom. Yeah. But Matt Ryan, man, he's just dragging that team down.
I think they get a quarterback on that team, man. And that's the thing. Like maybe it's the Brady curse, right? Like, listen, what about all those quarterbacks that he beats in the Super Bowl? You see, obviously, Matt Ryan, Russell Wilson, like Russ is good and all. I mean, this year is different. Whoever it is, what's his name? Mahomes, even like he's been not the same. It obviously, like it's not, or believe or not, but like Brady just like kind of destroys you, like mentally, and then you're like, man, maybe I'm not that good. Maybe I'm actually pretty trash. But I don't know. I just don't like Matt Ryan, man. I'm not a big fan.
No, we're with you. I saw some TikTok the other day, like, you guys are stupid. This is a former NFL MVP. This guy has this record and that
about
record.
Matt Ryan?
Like, whatever, dude.
Yeah.
About Matt Ryan.
Yeah, seriously.
It's like save it,
here.
Dude. Save it.
For real. So yeah, man, it sucks for Atlanta, yo. They just gonna have to deal with that. But yeah, like Gabe, you mentioned big game for Gronk. Pats, I mean, I said, fuck, man, the Pats.
We both did it.
Man, this tells you where our mind is. But the Bucks, they started going no huddle, which kind of reminds us of the Pats offense. They started doing a little no huddle because there was a moment in that first half where the offense was kind of scaring me, bro. Like they really, after that first drive, like it was just 3 and outs, stupid turnover, just dumb shit. Then you just saw a third quarter break. It's like, all right, fuck this. We're going no hurry up. That led to the Gronk touchdown. Gabe, you texted me that on that play, Gronk just completely destroying the dude who was trying to
The
check him
guy,
at the
yeah,
line.
a mere mortal, like some guy like tried to
Yeah.
muscle up Gronk. I'm like, that's not how you play this guy.
Yeah,
No
not even
way.
close.
You're not. I'm sorry, you're not special.
Right. It was
No.
funny too, because I remember when Brady was on the Manning cast, he was Peyton was trying to ask him this question. He was referring to a time when Tony Dungy was asked a question about the Colts offense when they were together, and how Dungy started like answering how to beat the Colts offense. His Peyton was pissed. He's like, oh, come on, Tony, what are you doing? But when Brady was on the Manning cast a few weeks ago, Manning like hinted at, like he referred to that joke, and he asked Tom, like, so how do you beat Tampa's offense? And Tom was like, oh, he's like being sarcastic. It's like, oh, come up, play close, physical, man to man. You do that, it's just you guys are gonna kill us. And Atlanta, it looks like the Atlanta defense actually
listen.
Yeah, they were listening. But yeah, you know what's weird though, guys? Atlanta's 5-7, and they actually aren't completely dead yet, which tells you how weird of a season we're having.
Oh,
So weird. I'm
I don't
both
know if you-
conferences.
I don't know if you guys saw that going into this like last week of football, the Detroit Lions, the 0-10 Detroit Lions had a chance to make the playoffs. Like,
Yeah,
what kind of a season?
they
I think
needed
it's
like
a-
10 different things to go right. But yeah,
it wasn't happening. But like,
Yeah.
still, like they need like, how is that even possible that a 0-10 team can make playoffs? Like I think it was like record setting how many teams had 5 wins at that point of the season. So it's
It's been a
interesting,
weird
man.
year.
I mean, it's tight. Like I like it.
It's fun,
They make it
yeah.
a really interesting finish. So
Facts.
definitely like that.
Speaking of Lions, I rewatched that final play. Like, I just love giant crowd reactions, and everybody loves an underdog. So like just watching that over and over, just the eruption of the crowd and Goff hugging Goff, who drives me crazy, who I like defended on this podcast like 5 weeks ago, and he just like got worse and worse as the season went on. Yeah, who drives me, but just seeing him hug his coach was cool.
Good moment.
Jay, real quick to get off track, before this
What's
went
up?
on, I just saw you look up. You texted me CJ McCollum's organs collapsed. What were you talking about?
So his lungs collapsed, or apparently just like a few hours ago, some news came out that his lungs collapsed.
Yeah,
So
what?
Jesus.
hear about
yeah, I
that.
know it's unfortunate for
That's
CJ. I don't know how
scary,
serious it is, but
That's tough.
won't be seeing
Damn.
CJ tomorrow night, that's for sure. Hopefully he's good though, because that sounded
Yeah,
scary.
probably
no.
not.
Damn. Yeah, I didn't see that. Prayers up, man.
Yeah.
Any other NFL thoughts, guys?
I mean, you mentioned the Lions got their first win. Minnesota just as good as a win that was for Detroit.
They
Just a
almost lost to
horrible
Detroit the
loss.
first time.
Yeah,
I
that
know.
team.
Minnesota would be the team to lose to Detroit too.
Kirk
So,
Cousins, throw him in that Matt Ryan category.
get at it.
and
Yeah,
Right.
Jimmy
yeah.
G of guys you just can't count
Just
on.
itching to throw a pick on the final play.
Oh my
Just
Yeah.
God.
itching to do it.
You mentioned the 49ers Seahawks, Gabe, that was a wild one. Kittle, yo, real quick, I was gonna ask you guys. So Gronk is my GOAT tight end.
Hmm.
Whatever, Gronk's not even in this conversation. Who would you guys rather have, Kittle or Kelsey?
I can't. It's hard because Kelsey has Mahomes, so I can't really tell. Just like Gronk, we've only seen him with Brady all the time, even though he still is my GOAT. Just the physical ability and all that shit.
Right.
I can't. Sani, do you have a definitive answer? I don't.
I mean, okay. Are we talking about right now on the team or
Right
like in
now,
their
like-
prime? Okay.
Or
I
I'll
mean,
say, like, if you're starting a team, who would you take first?
Right now,
type
Kittle
shit.
probably.
I mean, Kittle's younger for one.
Mm.
Kittle is one of the, if not the best, blocking tight end. That's
Yeah.
the part that people forget. Like
Yeah.
that team is amazing, like running the ball, and Kittle is just so good at like,
He's like another
creating
lineman
those-
out there, basically.
yeah, straight up, like kind of what Gronk is too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm not sure how good at blocking he. I'm sure he is anyway, but
Gronk's fantastic at blocking. That's why the Gronk Kelsey thing was never a debate because
That's
Kelsey's
why.
not much of a blocker.
Yeah.
Gronk will do whatever you need him to do, and then the play action opens it up. Like that's the thing, and but the only thing is with Kittle, man, like the injuries, man, like,
Mm.
and you
Yeah.
have to like consider that too. Kelsey's a pretty healthy dude overall. Like overall, he doesn't, he stays on the field, and
Yeah.
it's tough. I mean, I would probably go Kittle, but because again, you said Kelsey has Mahomes, Kittle has whoever, Garoppolo or Jordan Love. You know what I'm saying? Like probably Kittle, just like, and he's younger too. But I think it's tight. I don't think it's an obvious answer whatsoever. But
How about
Yeah.
this? How about this? Next 5 years, do you want Kelsey, Kittle,
Ooh.
or Kyle Pitts?
Ooh, next 5 years. Man,
Has
probably
Kyle Pitts shown you enough?
I think he has
I
with
guess.
Matt Ryan as
Yeah,
his quarterback
exactly. He's
in
made
his
some
rookie year.
ridiculous catches, like, and
Facts.
like if Kyle Pitts has Mahomes, man, if Kyle Pitts has whoever
That wouldn't
outside
be
of Matt
fair.
Ryan, imagine like Kyle Pitts with like
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers or something.
He's
Oh
like a wide receiver, but
yeah, he
in a tight
is. He
end's
is.
body
He
is
is.
stupid, bro.
I would have to take Pitts because he's like what 22 or 20, whatever,
Right.
maybe even
Yeah.
younger. Like
He's
I'd have to
young.
take him longevity, So, but that's a
So,
good question. That's also I don't think it's like an easy answer, but
Mhm.
I do think with a good quarterback, Pitts is just gonna be. And I think Falcons are gonna have to make him like Matt Ryan gotta go, like right, like they can't keep doing this.
right.
So we'll see. We'll see in the next.
Yeah,
year
it's time
or
to
two.
draft a quarterback.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
got it.
it's tough.
They could have done it this year, but they went for Pitts. So we'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah. I have a final football question before we move on to basketball.
Mhm.
And I was sort of talking about it before we went on. Am I crazy? Or more than ever at the end of these games, there is usually it's a cornerback, sometimes it's a defensive end. Some guy sitting on the ground with trainers around him, stopping the momentum of the offense. Even if you're wasting a timeout, even if it's a situation yesterday where it happened to the Bills and the play clock went back, you're still hurting. It's still, I feel like people are doing it on purpose because regardless of losing a timeout or whatever, you're stopping the momentum of the offense on their final drive. Just like icing a kicker, you're making them think about whatever a little more. I know that can sometimes be a benefit, but am I crazy? Tell me. That's all I want to know. Am I crazy?
I don't think. My
Both of
bad.
y'all just like looked at me at the same time. Like
Because
I am
nah,
crazy, I guess.
I don't
No,
know.
I-
I don't think you are. I honestly like. I have noticed it much more like recently. I never really thought of
Yeah.
it like what you're saying right now, but like honestly, like it makes sense. Like I don't know if you guys watch any soccer or anything, but like that's also part of soccer. They do
Right.
that. It's a strategy, and like it's going to be impossible for them to create a rule against it because you
It is.
can't
I
tell
was
a player
thinking
when
about
he's
that, right?
hurt,
So
when he's
hard.
not hurt. You can't really do anything about it. So if you are like if it is true and like it actually is beneficial for a player to do that, I think you got to win by any means necessary, right?
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, that's the thing with me, Sonny. It's
Seeing
so
it
hard
every
to
day,
tell
every final drive.
when they yeah, it's so hard to tell like if they're actually injured or not.
yeah.
But like us being at home, like we know because Gabe, you texted me Judon last night. He was doing it, and I wasn't sure because I'm like, I don't know, he might actually be hurt. Gabe. I'm like
Yeah.
thinking that as you're
I was
texting me.
worried, man.
Then like at the end of the game, you see Judon fucking dancing post game,
Right,
smiling.
right.
Is that
Yeah.
as he's getting interviewed? I'm like, oh, okay, this guy was not.
It was so weird, man.
Ripped in half the way he was laying down.
Because that game went the average length of a Monday Night Football game. But I'm like, the Patriots ran the ball the whole time. How did this game go this long? It's because at the end, the last 2 minutes took like 25 minutes. It felt like.
And I guess them
This drives me
rushing.
crazy as a viewer.
Yeah, them
Almost.
running like not a lot of incompletion, so that clock is just milking.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's the Pats, man. They're definitely not one to give us a show, but they're gonna get
They'll
it.
exploit the system, man, and like hate us
For
or love
real.
us. Like a win is a win at the end of the day. Like you know what I'm saying? Like if and that's
Yeah, man.
steps
Yeah.
ahead of you type of thing. Like
Mhm.
you're thinking 2 moves ahead, we're like 7 moves ahead. Like that's the
Right.
thing again.
Yeah.
Again, love us or hate us, man. But yeah,
hate us because they ain't us, man.
yeah, exactly. And I'm gonna like honestly like try to pay more attention to that, Gabe. Now that you said that, like,
Same.
Yeah.
I'm
Because
like, because I do think it like it could be beneficial. Like you kill the momentum, like
yeah. And I mean, I see it because you mentioned you watch Red Zone. Red Zone, the 4 o'clock games yesterday. Every game like went down to the wire. So I kept seeing it because all these teams were on their final drive, and then like just I'm like, well, why are we cutting to this other game? Oh, some guys on the ground.
right.
It's just a way to stop the clock, I guess, and all that. But that's kind of a sour way to end the football talk, but we're gonna keep it sour. And I'm gonna ask Sani what he thinks about the Celtics this year.
Mm.
Man, the C's. I'm a big fan to like like I love the C's. Like
Us
it's
too.
my team, and I mean honestly, you can look at it like multiple ways. Like we started off really weird, and like to like the record wise weird, but like if you look at the games, like what we had like 4 overtimes in the first like 8 games or something like that. Like we had some close losses, which is kind of the thing from that what's been happening last couple of years, especially last season. We lost like the most close games out of any team. But at the same time, the way we started was really bad. But I do think we're like slowly trying to like find the identity, and I think our identity needs to be or is our defense.
Yes.
Because the way we've been like shutting out certain teams and like holding teams to like 80 and less points, like you don't really see that like that
Yeah,
much.
man.
So like there's so much like we have to work on so many things. Our offense is just garbage sometimes. Like it just makes no sense. Like because we have certain players. We don't have a playmaker. Like that's probably like if you had to ask me one thing, like we don't have a playmaker. Marcus Smart is our playmaker. Like Al Horford is. They're great. Like I like him, but we don't have a guy who can really like take over the game and make a right pass, like right play, like. So, and Tatum is trying to improve in that category. He's had his own like troubles, you know, with scoring and everything. But you can't forget, like Boston fans, including myself, we're so critical of everything like our teams do. Like it's early, like it's been 20 games.
Yeah.
Like we started off really slow, then like now we're 13-11 or whatever. Like we've had some really good wins, tough losses, but really good wins. So I mean, as long as we stick to this identity of like a defensive team, if our offense can figure it out a little bit, we've missed JB for so many games. Like, if we can figure it out offensively a little bit, I do think there's like a light at the end of the tunnel type of deal. So,
Yeah.
But, yeah, those are my immediate thoughts.
I guess me and Jay we are the critical Celtic fans you were referring to for sure. Because, you know, you say all that and it's like, yeah, their defense should be their identity. This is a reason for this. This is a reason for that. They need a playmaker. Yeah. But like, it's just the reason why I'm just so down on this team is because I'm noticing trends that I've seen the past like 3 or 4 years with them, where it's like, you know, history repeats itself and they haven't done anything to really fix their issues in certain categories. Some of those might revolve around just Jalen and Jason not being able to work together. I still don't know completely about that. I think it's nice to have 2 players of that caliber. The Jalen Brown thing, yeah, he's hurt. He's been off and on hurt for a while now. So when is it? How long until your record is your record? How long until your team, your roster is your roster? If this guy's always hurt, if the Nets, and I said this just to kind of like sum this up or give an example, we were talking about the Net. We started this podcast last year during the playoffs, NBA playoffs, first round. Yeah, the Nets were our favorite. At least I preface it. I think Jay agreed. Yeah, they're the favorite unless this guy gets hurt or that guy gets hurt or this guy quits, which is bound to happen with a Kyrie Irving and a James Harden and a Kevin Durant who ended up staying healthy, but Kevin Durant has had injury issues in the past. It's like, I'm not saying, oh, look at this Nets team without Kyrie Irving. He's barely there. Why would I say that? So it's Jaylen Brown's not on that level, but that's sort of what I'm saying when I'm like, the Celtics are kind of you are who you are when you get to a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're such a frustrating team. It's so weird too, because you know, it's like they've been in our lives for 10 years already. This kind of core of Marcus Smart, Tatum, and Jaylen Brown. And you look like, I don't know, Marcus Smart, what is he, 26, 27? Obviously, Tatum's 23, JB 24. Like these dudes are still young. So big picture, you know, you want to remain hopeful. You want to like, you know, think that they're eventually gonna get it together. But yeah, like you said, Sani, they're just a team that does not have their identity figured out. And it's mainly on the offensive end. And like you prefaced, it's mainly because they don't have a playmaker. Because defensively, they kind of get it. Or I guess sometimes they get it. Because they're so long, talented, lengthy, athletic that you just throw a certain 5 out there, they're just going to be good on defense. Just because of like the physical makeup. But offensively, it's so much confusion. It's still hero ball between Tatum and Jalen. Like that Philly game that they ended up winning, I think they won by 1. And they honestly won because of their defense. I think Embiid, they were just swarming him on defense.
Rob Williams got that block to win the
game.
Yeah, for sure.
They had Maxey sick. But then, like, so you see a game like that and they win, but then You look back a week ago where they lose to San Antonio and Lonnie Walker and fucking DeJounte Murray are lighting them up. And then they'll beat a Portland team, but then they'll look flat again, the next day. So it's such an inconsistent team, but that goes back to the lack of identity, especially on the offensive end. And man, I don't know, because Gabe, you brought this up. He's starting to be the in and out of the lineup type of player now, which definitely sucks.
Which is not good for the Celtics, and it's not good for him either. Because
not
he
good for-
looked
yeah,
awesome
nobody.
to start the year. And
For sure.
He was
Jason,
like an all NBA almost.
I'd
Oh, yeah,
probably
yeah.
side with Jason Tatum over like who would you keep in the long run or whatever, because
Yeah.
not just because he's more skilled than Jalen Brown, but he's more durable. Like I
Yeah,
think Tatum
available.
doesn't get,
He's available.
he doesn't, yeah, availability is the best ability, and
Yeah.
he doesn't get enough credit for his availability. Tatum, I think you don't realize it until it's not there.
Mhm.
Brown I enjoy his personality more. I enjoy his approach to the game more. I think he works harder than Tatum. At least that's what the eye test tells me. It's just when you start missing this amount of games, it's an issue.
Yeah.
How would you fix this?
Mm.
Sonny, do you think there's nothing to be fixed? Like
Oh,
roster wise?
absolutely. No. Oh,
Like,
no.
If you
'Cause-
were to make a trade, like what would that be, or how would you fix this team?
I mean, perfect case scenario. Like I before the season, before like actually even in the end of last season or like during the trade deadline, man, I was praying we could get Lonzo Ball.
Yeah.
Like I was
Yeah.
like, I love
Mhm.
Lonzo. Like he
Oh.
would have fixed so many problems.
Would have been great.
He one of the best defensive guards in the league. He's one of the best at transition game. He's one of the
Yeah.
best at playmaking, and he can now shoot he can make his open
Yeah.
shots. It's like LeVar Ball was right, man. Like he said, those two kids are going to be really. But I mean, how can you like? I do think we need because like if you look at these games that we do win, it's like we always have the guy other than Jalen or Jason that goes off. Like Schroeder has been really good. Like
Yeah.
he's
Mm.
playing for. What are we paying him? Like 6 million, 5 million? Like
It's a steal.
it was a steal. It was amazing. I mean, he knows he got to play his heart out to make his money this offseason. But
Right.
when he goes off, when he puts up like high 20s, 30s, like we usually win games.
Yeah.
So it's like, I feel like we need somebody else offensively because like our defense, like, man, like, I
Defense is
think
special.
this has been like in the building for the past like whatever 4 years since we drafted like even Grant, because like
Mm.
right now with our starting five or even our bench, we're the best in the league at switching.
Yeah.
Like
We
anybody on
lead the league in
anybody.
switches by like a
We-
Yeah,
mile.
interchangeable
We
wings
do
and shit.
because like it's positionless basketball. It's like
Yeah.
anybody guards anybody, and we are so good at that. Like with Romeo, Grant
Mhm.
Williams, like outside of like the main guys,
Richardson.
obviously Richardson. Yeah, like you have these guys who are 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", who can guard all five positions to a certain degree. So it's like
Facts.
I love that, and like it made no sense to me why it didn't work last year. Like because I was like, our defense got to be like decent. We have I mean, there was so much going on last year with injuries, COVID, and other things. So whatever, forget about that. So
Yeah.
I love the defense, but man, offensively, like especially Tatum hasn't been like not quite himself. Whatever it is, like he takes a little too many shots, this or that. Like when he's hot, but like
He's such a tease.
he is, and like and I hate on offense too, and that's part on Ime too. Is like when we just settle for the shot, like when we grab the ball without moving its ISO ball shot, like it drives me crazy, especially late in games.
Yeah.
Like how many times have we seen this year Tatum just take the ball like to win the game and like
Fade
just
away
dribble, fade away. Like I know
Yeah,
you can
bro.
hit the shot. Like I believe in him. I think he can hit it better than anybody else on the team or maybe in the league. He's really good, but like
He's tough.
why can't we try like to run a play or two? And then if
Yeah,
that
you're
doesn't
echoing.
work out,
We preached that on this pod, man.
Yeah.
Like Tatum, I don't think he's not the best in the league. I have to disagree. He's not.
I was
There's
just
I
yeah.
feel you. There's like 15 other. Maybe this season at least there's probably like
This
15 other
season,
guys
yeah,
I'd
for
rather
sure.
have taken the last shot. He hasn't earned that, and this shouldn't like be discouraging to him. It's just
No.
the team has a better chance at winning. What happened to playoffs, Brad Stevens versus Philadelphia. Let's drop a play, get Al Horford a wide open layup.
Yeah.
Right.
Why is this so difficult?
get it.
When it comes to plays at the end of the game, I think an issue is like they don't have a knockdown specialist, which
Hmm.
I know they don't grow on the trees, but they kind of do. Like
It's like
I'm not asking for
yeah.
Ray Allen or Clay Thompson. I'm just asking for a guy who can spot up and hit an open shot.
They're trying to turn Grant Williams into that, which is
Right.
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
and sometimes it looks good with Grant Williams. So imagine what it will look like if we have
It's
an
been solid,
actual
to be honest.
shooter in the corner.
Yeah.
These guys are in the draft, get a designated shooter basically for the end of games that will draw attention so that Tatum will have more chances to hit a game winner, or Brown, or whoever.
Well, maybe
Yeah.
that's the answer then. You know what I'm saying? But the problem is with that too is like, even if we have that, like, are we still gonna end up like Tatum with an ISO for 20 seconds or
Right.
Jaylen Brown? Like we need, like, I haven't seen that yet this year where like when it's a close game, we don't have a play. We literally don't
Yeah.
like nothing comes out. We come out of a timeout, they talk about something. It's like almost are they talking just about the out of bounds play? Like what are we
Chatting.
doing? Like what are we talking about when you're just gonna the whole world knows Tatum is just gonna dribble and shoot? Like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Like again, like if you had a little play going, it broke down, nothing worked out. Yeah, give it to Tatum. He's the best player in the team to like make something out of nothing for sure, whatever. But like the whole like time, the whole 10, 15, 20 seconds dribbling and pulling up a crazy shot, like that needs to go. And like I think if we win like maybe how many games we lost by less than a bucket, like
Probably a lot.
a lot. Like I can think of again few overtime games that they could have never went to overtime.
Right.
Like we had game-winning shots in multiple of those overtime games that we lost. The few games again, like the one that Schroeder missed. I forget who it was against Cavs. I forget.
Yeah.
We're like a few buckets away from being top of the East, and it's like, but that's not like I'm not trying to say we're that good. I'm just trying to say like we got to be better. Like, and we gotta, we gotta create something for the players that we got.
Yeah. I just think, man, there's no adult on the team.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, that's
how
also
Phoenix
true.
has a Chris
Besides
Paul. Yeah,
Horford.
besides Horford. But Horford's, he's a center. He's kind of back in the background. Phoenix has a Chris Paul. He's going to set the table. Kyle Lowry, he's exactly a floor general. That's a vet. Like even Washington with Dinwiddie. There's guys, Marcus Smart is not that guy for us. So Celtics fans who think that, or who still think that if they're even out there still,
right?
like, please get that out your head. So like, we don't have a guy who's setting the table on offense because Tatum and Brown, as much as we love them, that's just not who they are.
No.
And I don't think they're ever going to be those guys where, Luka type, just setting the table, getting everyone involved. So, and that kind of, I think, goes back to maybe why they're struggling on defense sometimes, because I think sometimes these guys, they want to do so well offensively, but obviously there's so much question marks with the Celtics offense and how it's ran. I feel as if all that mess that's on the offensive side could kind of leak into their defensive play. Maybe they're not as engaged anymore. They're not into it. Because at the end of the day, like all of us who's hooped before, defense, there's some talent, there's some skill, but it's effort. It's usually effort. Like if you're putting in effort on the defensive end, that shit's going to show.
Right.
And I feel as if sometimes with the Celtics team, man, like the lack of the floor general / leader, not having Tatum and Brown keeping their head in the game. So, and then offensively, all those, like you mentioned, Sonny, those possessions that just ended 15 dribbles and a chuck at the end of the shot clock. I think that, kind of is trickling down to the defensive end and part of why we might see them struggle a little bit on that side. But I don't know how you fix that, man, unless you make a move, because Marcus Smart's not that guy. Tatum's not that guy. Jaylen definitely is.
Right.
So.
And your best player, your sixth man or whatever role you would have Smart or Horford in.
Yeah.
They can be a voice in the locker room, but they can't really be the only voice in the locker room. And definitely they are at this stage in the game. And Smart, I used to view him much more respectively as I view Horford, where it's like, yeah, you're like a parent figure. After his comments about not getting touches and shit, it's like
bullshit.
That's a little.
That was garbage.
There's Jeremiah. I mean, maybe I'll mention his name after we go off the air, but like it's like that junior or senior on varsity who isn't that good, but
I wonder who
they're
now.
the captain.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like
a guy like that.
yeah, they're pumping their chest, and I'm like, it's like you're playing
fingers.
a role in the movie. Yeah, you're playing a role in the movie. You're not actually. You're not about the team. You're about.
And that's what I hated about this whole thing with Smart. Like, oh, like I'm gonna call him out. then call him out. Like, go and talk to them. And like, what's the point
Yeah.
of being like, oh, you don't do this, you don't do that.
And going to
Smart
the
him-
press with it,
like
like
that's
handle
when you know it's a
Very
problem.
Kyrie
You-
Irving of him.
Exactly. And that's why I was like, are you kidding me? And some of my friends were like, oh, look, we won 3 games after he did this and that. I'm like, so what? Because
Yeah.
I think Smart was part of the problem himself. That dude chucked so many shots that he shouldn't be.
one of the
But
biggest
to be
parts.
fair,
Yeah.
to be fair, he's been better. He's been better ever since he's like said that. Because I think the players called him out on it.
Probably, yeah.
like,
They probably
dude,
checked them outside the.
He makes a
off the
wide
field.
open 3, and then 3 next possessions, you know, he's chucking it every time he has the ball. I'm like, oh, there he goes, there he goes.
Mhm.
He checked.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like you don't need to call your team out like that. So I agree with you. Horford is like definitely a veteran, but like he's also, I feel like, a little bit more soft spoken. He's not very like,
Right.
let's go like KG
Lead by
type
example.
or something like that. No, yeah. That's big part of what we're missing. And last year was even bigger without Horford. I think that was like our such a problem with the team. We don't have somebody to like lean on because like
Yeah. Imagine this team without Horford this year. How would they
my.
look? Oh,
Horford is great, man.
He has
He's
been.
like top 10 in blocks, or even top 6 or something like that. Like, and on top of just the leadership and like doing everything he does, playmaking, he might be the best playmaker on the team. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
and,
for
like,
real.
I
He's
love
been
it, but-
rejuvenated ever since he got back in Celtic green.
good for him, man. He left, made a bunch of money off of Philly, and okay,
Yeah, he got
I
that
love
bag
it.
and
I
he's
love
back.
it. I
Hell
hate
yeah.
Philly, so like, I love it. Come on, man, take the money, and he came back. So
Big
good
Al.
for him. Good for Al. But you're right. Like, we need another guy, like almost like a PJ Tucker. Like, I
Yeah.
don't even know. I'm just trying to think of guys like obviously Chris Paul, like somebody who like
I think we need a
bark at you.
facilitator.
They need
I
like
was-
a voice in the locker room, like a Boogie Cousins.
who will bark at you. Even like
I'm just
Juwan
kidding.
Howard, who will never
not Boogie Cousins.
Would this be crazy? Like, am I crazy to think I wouldn't mind Rondo being back on this team?
Oh hell, he'll be like, check them. He'll
Him
check
and
He'll
the
Smart
check
will
him.
fucking murder each other, dude, in the locker
Yeah,
room.
that-
Only
that-
one
that's-
person's walking out.
That's a danger for sure. But I feel like Rondo, him being because I think the Celtics really need someone to set the table and facilitate. Like, that's going to solve so much problems offensively.
100%.
Lonzo Ball and Sonny, I
Oh
have to
my
echo you again. Lonzo Ball is like
We
would have
fumbled
been the
it.
perfect Celtic, man.
Man,
I think
know.
it's that fucking
We fumbled that bad.
Rich Paul. I mean, isn't Rich Paul his agent? Like
He was never
He
coming.
doesn't. Yeah, no.
He
Yeah.
just completely blocks off Boston.
It's tough.
Good news is I heard today Indiana is thinking about blowing it up, and they got a bunch of pieces. They got
They
Philip
do.
got
Brogdon.
Levert, they have Sabonis, they have Miles Turner,
That's another guy, man. I don't know if you said his name, Brogdon, bro.
Brogdon.
He does the same thing Lonzo
Yep.
does.
He does.
He's amazing 3-and-D guy who can actually like play make to overstart, not like to the same ability, but Brogdon is great. And that's why I
He
don't understand
is.
why Philly never like considered that trade that they were trying to. I don't know if you guys saw it. They were trying to give him the whole boat for Simmons. And
Simmons,
they're like, nah,
yeah.
we want more. I'm like, all right, man. Like, good luck with that. Like,
Right. That is
I didn't
Yeah,
get that
that's
at
Daryl
all.
Morey.
they should be
being a
happy that they
shithead.
should be happy that Daryl Morey's stupid for that.
I know.
Because Indiana probably would have regretted that. I think anybody's regretting the Simmons
That's it,
deal
man,
unless you have that foundation. Like, I still feel
Right.
like Simmons could work out in Golden State. I
Oh,
feel
yeah,
like he
they-
could work out in a couple other areas, but if he's going to 26 of the teams in the league, it's just an L off the bat, off rip.
You
which
just
is
gotta
why
take
I
the
don't know why-
pressure of him.
Yeah, I don't know
Oh.
why Morey doesn't understand that beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah.
Anything else on the Celtics, or can we move on? I want to.
We can move on.
So we're not going to do a complete good vibes, bad vibes this week. I just have one good vibe, bad vibe. I got one to ask you guys. You're going to tell me, Sani, does this person give you good vibes? Or how do you feel about this person? Good or bad, basically. And that's going to lead us into our final like basketball discussion. This person is Sam Presti. How do we feel about Sam Presti at this point in time?
That's a good one. I mean, I listen. I mean, he's done some magic over there with all those picks, man.
Right.
Like you can't just say bad just yet. I don't think. I think you have to say good vibes for now. But man, that game the other day,
They should be
They need to-
fined. They should be fined.
What? How? I was mind blown. I saw that. I
You
wasn't
watched-
watching it live
yeah.
or anything. I saw that and I immediately sent it to like a bunch of my friends. I'm like, what? How?
No
And
John
like, because
Morant either.
Ja wasn't playing. I was like, dude, what? Like, how is this going? How is this happening? And it's like, but I mean, Presti's done some wizardry with picks and trades. And I do think like I like Shy. I do like Shy a lot. Like I don't know
Right.
if he's gonna want to
So
stay.
why is he
Like
wasting around? Why is they're wasting him?
they
Is my
are,
thing.
because it's like they have so many picks. Like, what are you gonna have? Like 1,000 rookies on your team? Like, let's make it happen. Like, take those picks and get some players out there. So for now, I mean, I can't. I don't want to say bad. I say good vibes, but you got to make a move. I think the clock is on, and you got to do something about all those picks.
Yeah. Jay.
Yeah, I'll say bad vibes because you don't really see like a direction for them right now. They just are just hoarding a bunch of picks. Like, to be fair to OKC, that's still embarrassing to lose by what it was, 80, 70 points. Like, that's some
73
fucking,
points.
73.
And
Yeah,
no NBA team
that's
should
horrible.
ever, if NBA teams really show up to play, this league is so talented. No team should ever lose by even 20 if they're really
Yeah.
like bringing their A game. So 73 is just like everybody should be executed.
crazy.
I
in front of
literally
the
said they should
organization.
be disassembled and moved to another city, like
Yeah.
ASAP. Like, move your franchise back
Well-
to Seattle, man. Like, get out of here.
What happens in soccer? They get regulated when they're so bad. You might have to
Like,
regulate
yeah,
OKC.
get him out.
Yeah, I mean, in that Memphis game, they didn't have Shai, they didn't have Dort, they didn't have Giddy. Those are the three best players.
Why
But
though?
still, man,
Were they all injured?
like
or
you said,
something?
Gabe. And this is why I say bad vibes. Because why are you not playing your young guys? Why are you? If it's not those three, why is there a
So
bunch of G
stupid. I'm
leaguers
sorry
on
to
the
keep
team?
laughing.
Yeah, it's
This is
silly,
so stupid.
bro. They're such a silly team, and he has a bunch of draft picks. I mean, we'll see how that goes. It's a bunch of Clippers picks and Houston picks, which, I mean, you never know. You just really never know because you're trying to predict the future with these things, which none of us could do, obviously. So, I mean, him having all those picks, I guess that's what keeps the fan base and what keeps ownership calm. It's like, hey, I have a vision. I got all these
Right.
picks, but
Rosillo
what
talks
if all
about
those
that.
picks are a bunch of fucking G
Right.
leaguers, bro?
Because
Because just
it's
like 10
the-
years wasted.
The future, the thought of the future keeps you employed.
Right.
Look at what I got for the future.
Buy
All
some
right, every
time.
first round pick is LeBron James, Luka Doncic. Some of them are going to be Andrea Bargnani. Some of them are going to be Dante Exum. Like there's going to be Anthony Bennett's, Darko Milicic. Like,
Yeah.
it's the how much losing is worth. I mean, look at Ben Simmons. Look at Philadelphia with the process.
You're right.
What has this really gotten them?
Eastern Conference trip with Kawhi killing them.
Yeah.
That's really
that
it.
was,
That was their peak. Yeah, no, it's a good point, man. It's tough because, like, I mean, well, Presti, I'll give him credit, man. It's still bad vibes, but I'm trying to be a little nice.
He's gotten out of
he
some
is
bad
really good at.
contracts.
Yeah, he's got rid of some bad contracts. He does have a history. I mean, he drafted Durant second, even though that's a no-brainer. He did draft Harden. He did draft Westbrook. I like Giddy. So like he seems to might have a slight Midas touch when it comes to drafting, but then again, that's me talking about past players. That's me talking about past work. Like if we're talking about the present and the future, and right now it's so much question marks that I don't see how it could be too much good vibes around that right now.
Indeed.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you almost wanting me to change, but like the only thing is, as you just said, like he is a great draft. Like he drafted so much amazing superstars in the league and everything. So it's like, but I see all those picks more honestly as assets. Like I hope to God they don't like draft every single player with those picks.
Honestly,
they
though,
won't.
I think
But who wants to come there?
bro?
But who wants to
you're
come
right.
there?
The market is trash.
That's
so
the
Who's
it's
going to
like,
come there
yeah.
and who's
but
going to stay
it's
there?
a trade at the end of the day. Like if you're
I
going
know.
to trade for them, like
Who's going to be like
Teams like-
I'm going to sit around in OKC? Like it's just
that's fair.
Right,
That's a
man.
fair point.
I'm speaking from experience as a Celtics fan too. Like, yes, we got Tatum and Brown. That's fucking awesome. It's jackpot.
Mhm.
But besides that, it's like
We
all
could've
these
gotten
picks
Fultz
look
and
so
Simmons.
much better. All these picks that they had look so much better like 5 years ago. Just thinking about
Right.
the future.
Right.
And this
Yeah.
was one of the better case scenarios when it comes to saving up picks. And that guy who did all that isn't even the
it's
GM
tough.
anymore. So
Right.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, it's tough when you're a poverty I hate to call them a poverty franchise, but that's basically what they are. Like the Sacramento Kings, Oklahoma City Thunder, Orlando Magic. You got to build your equity through the draft, and so I guess he's going about it the right way with the picks and all. But man, you got to do something. You can't just throw out a G Leaguers every night because now you're just disrespecting the fan base. I feel like you're disrespecting the product too at that point. If you're just
Right.
throwing some fucking G Leaguers out every night and you're selling tickets at the same price you would have sold if you have like Paul George and Westbrook and Melo when they had that, like I feel like at a certain point, man, you kind of have to respect the product, respect the game that is, you know, the NBA. But hey, man, these dudes are more worried about keeping their job. They could care less if we're rooting for
Business at
their
the end of
league
the day.
pass random night or whatever. But yeah, those are my thoughts on that.
I can't give him too much shit. You know, it's not as bad as Cleveland just like sucking forever and then constantly getting the number one pick or whatever, doing well, and then all of a
They
sudden
finally
2016
they're
happens. It's
turning it
just,
around now, but yeah.
yeah, OKC was in the playoffs a couple of years ago, so I can't be too upset. It's just even last year they were doing pretty well, and they like that's when they started tanking. Like they would have won like 20 more games last year, probably 15
Yeah.
or something.
It's like,
And
oh, now
they've
Shy
just
has a high
decided.
ankle sprain.
Yeah, it's like, dude, this guy, you only play in the NBA. He could end up with a serious injury someday. It's just not cool to waste guys' basketball
Yeah.
careers like that.
Facts, Gabe. Facts.
No, for sure.
We could wrap up. That could wrap that up. If you're interested in more NBA talk, tune into the Hoop Chat with me and Jeremiah. Sani, I'm sure we'll have you on that someday too. That's where
Sure, I
we
would
do
love
more extensive basketball
sure.
talks. This past week, you could still listen to it. We talked about the Golden State Warriors. We talked about the Suns, the Nets. We talked about the teams and the upper echelon teams in the league. We went in depth on that. And then another reminder while I'm doing plugs, please check out our color cast tomorrow when we cover the Warriors Blazers game. Sounds like there won't be any CJ McCollum. However, I would tune in and chat with us on that because it could be a historic night. Steph Curry, Jay brought it to my attention before this. Steph Curry is just 16 threes away from the record.
He was like, who knows? I might do it tomorrow.
He might do it all. And if anybody could do it, it's Steph. He could do 17 threes in a game. That would be insane. I can see Steph going after something like that. He's not like KD. KD would never do that. You know, KD just gets all his buckets in transition. Like when KD hit 49 in the playoffs last year, I was like, that's so KD.
It was like
having
within
this
the
great
game, yeah,
and
so
not getting and not
right.
just getting 50. Like that's so KD. But Steph, I could see going for it.
Moment too. I ain't gonna lie.
Right. But that's the plugs. We're gonna wrap up this episode with a little boxing talk. Again, if you want more in-depth boxing talk with people who really know what they're talking about, because I'm definitely just a casual. I don't know about Sani. I know Jay, you're also a casual. Tune into the Hurt Business podcast with Ferris Sharari and Joss Leach. They really know what they're talking about. However, boxing, it was a big weekend in boxing, back-to-back weekends. Last weekend you had Devin Haney fighting, and you had who fought the night before? I'm losing.
With Haney was Saturday and Gervonta was Sunday.
Gervonta was Sunday. Yeah.
Okay, Devin Haney and Gervonta this past weekend, and then last weekend you had Teofimo Lopez and Kambosos.
Yo.
And then there was also another fight last Saturday, but that wasn't in this weight class. I really want to talk about this weight class. All these names: Teofimo, Devin Haney, Lomachenko. Lomachenko and Teo did fight, but which is going to divert my point. But Gervonta, all these guys are in the same weight class, and none of them ever end up fighting each other. And it's like, how can all of you be up here? You said the same thing I always say, Sani, when before we went on. It's a dying sport. Why is it a dying sport? Because none of these guys fight each other. Why aren't there like tournaments in boxing? The reason why I'll never love boxing the way I love basketball and football, which are my two favorite sports, is the cream rises to the there's no debate at the end of the year who the best team is. Where in boxing, it's like, oh, yeah, but he's ducking this guy and he's ducking that guy. Why can't they just do like mandatory tournaments here and there?
Money, man. I think it comes down to all these promotions. You got 4 massive promotions, like everybody's trying to do their own thing, trying to push their own cash cow, trying to create this fighter who every time, like this Sunday, Gervonta was fighting. Like, I bet you half of the people who were watching that fight don't even know nothing about boxing. But it was like, oh, Tank Davis, Mayweather's boy, he's fighting. Just you create this, and he fought this kid Isaac. Cruz or whatever.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
Cruz,
yeah.
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 Honestly, like I'm not like a boxing connoisseur. I'm more like UFC guy anyway.
Yeah.
I know a little bit about boxing, but like Isaac put up a fight, man, and like they're talking about
I had a
Javante.
draw or
I
maybe
thought
Javante winning. It could have
I
went
had it
either
very
way for
close.
me. Yeah, it
15
could have
Same.
went either way
13,
for me.
115, 113. It was very
A
tight
lot of
fight.
running, a
Like,
lot of clinching by Javante. It was like,
yeah.
and this guy's not the cream of the crop. This guy is
Oh,
a
man.
better boxer than Javante's fought. But it's like, what is this going to look like when he fights a Devin
Right.
Haney or
Right.
a Teofimo Lopez or Lomachenko? Like, he wasn't the killer. He wasn't a killer. You know, he wasn't as
Yeah.
advertised.
No.
And I think that's
mean,
why. That's why they don't fight each other, because all those people tuning in for Javante, like you said, what is it going to matter once he loses?
the money's gone because now nobody want to watch Javante. And everybody's like, oh, you know what? Like he lost this and that. Like you can't collect that big of a pay-per-view or whatever if Javante, you know, is not undefeated. And he was undefeated 25-0 before this and 24 knockouts. Of course you want to watch that fight. You're like, oh man, he's about to knock this kid out. This kid stands there and fights like, you know, and it's every promotion does the same thing. They're like, oh, let's, you know, make as much money as we can off this dude, and then whatever happens towards the end of their careers or whatever. It's just
Right.
I dislike that, man. And you know, it is what it is, I guess. Like that's why UFC is gaining so much traction.
Yes.
Like even though they're also gonna have their own competition in Bellator, but for now, like
But their
your
best
UFC
fighters fight each other.
that's the thing.
Yep.
Like you UFC champion, like you want to be UFC champion. You don't want to be Bellator champion. You want to switch and be in the UFC. And I love UFC, and like that's a whole other talk I can talk about for days. But like boxing, they need to, I don't know, like this whole YouTube boxing thing. I mean, it seems like it's definitely like helping the eyes, but at the same time is like, I don't know, man. Like
Yeah. That shit's lame,
barely,
bro.
and I really try. We try not to talk about that shit on this, but because it's like it's literally it's as fake as WWE is, and it was proven right. Like this past week, it came out like Woodley in his contract versus Jake Paul. Can't believe we just mentioned him on the pod. I always said I would never mention him. It's in his contract that he can't knock out Jake Paul, and I'm telling people. I go on to Her Business podcast. We went on. And it's like, oh, who you got?
Yeah.
Who you got? And it's like, I'm always gonna pick the Paul brother because if they lose, the money is gone. And that's like, that's kind of like the sport right now in a microcosm. I said that Tyson Fury Wilder fight is like the last great mega fight. Two guys with mainstream appeal who are gonna fight each other in their primes. It's just not gonna. It just never happens anymore. And it was like great to see it happen 3 times with them, but. Yeah, it just drives me crazy that you got all these guys that are supposed to be so great and so talented, and everybody has their own story on why the other guy's pussy for not fighting them.
Yeah,
it's like the sport needs to fix itself, man. It just needs to fix itself.
Yeah, but will they? That's the question. Like, they just eat up as much money as they can while they can, and then just whatever happens type of thing. Like,
right?
I don't know, because I enjoy like a good boxing match is just it's amazing, man. And like I'm Ukrainian originally, and there's a lot of great Ukrainian fighters. Like, I mean, obviously Loma, Usyk just beat Anthony Joshua. That was amazing.
Watch that, yeah.
That was an awesome masterclass performance from Usyk. That was a cruiserweight, man. He was a cruiserweight coming and fighting at a heavyweight and doing that to AJ. You know, he's not the most technical fighter, but still, like, come on, like
that's their biggest fear. That's these guys' biggest fear is a guy like Usyk.
That was bad. That was awful for them. They hated that.
Yeah.
They hated that. And like now obviously AJ has that clause of like, oh, you're gonna fight again and like fight Usyk again and whatever, train for him differently, this and that. Or like even the whole Canelo thing where like they put the no rehydration clause in the opponent's contract where like
what does that even mean?
I'm hip.
It's kind of crazy, and like it's basically like if you know how like before a fight you cut weight, right? Like and then you can rehydrate to get back to your like normal weight and not feel completely like dehydrated the next day or whatever. So they do the thing where like you can't do that. Like you have to show up on weight basically for the fight. And like Canelo, yes.
Does he get to he gets to
rehydrate, right? Like
that's terrible. And personally, just what we're shitting on Canelo or whatever, he didn't fucking win that first fight versus Triple G. I watched that. Triple G kicked his ass. I'm sorry.
I agree.
But Triple G, like Usyk, isn't as marketable. but he didn't win it as handily as Usyk beat Joshua. If it was a
Right.
closer fight, like they would have totally gave it to Joshua.
Right. Oh, I was praying because I was like watching the fight. I was like, man, I swear to God, they're about to give it to Joshua. I was talking to one of my boys who's like a really big boxing fan. He was like, man, I'm afraid they're gonna give this fight to Joshua. And I was like, I pray to God not. And luckily they did the right thing, you know. And the same thing with Tio and Kambosos. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys watched it.
That
It
was
an
close.
awesome fight. It was
That
close.
was that
fight.
was close. You know, that could have gone either way. I had Kambosos.
Tio had his
needed
moments.
Tio needed a big last round, and Kambosos just handled them.
Kambosos did his thing. The same thing that happened with Usyk in the last 2 rounds. Like, so, and I'm glad like they called those fights right. But yeah, like there's just loopholes and like fight, you know, champions. They try to push these like champions to like 40, 50 and 0 before they really fight anybody. And it's like, why do I want to watch this? Like, you know, like I want to see the best of the best fight each other for the, you know, for the title.
Yeah. Before we get out of here, just question just popped into my head, just so that the audience could get to know you a little better in terms of like your sports taste. Who would your like top 3? And I think we're gonna start doing this with every guest, Jay. Who would you say your top 3 athletes of all time are?
Ooh.
Wow.
You could take a minute if you want to.
I mean, Brady. I mean, it has to be one of
Okay.
them. Like, if
All right,
not
same.
putting Brady up there is just ridiculous. I'm a huge soccer fan, and yeah. I mean, I grew up with soccer. I was born and raised in Ukraine, so like my whole, you know, I moved here in 2009 when I was 13, so like
Oh,
I really
wow.
grew up with it. Yeah. So Messi, I'd have to put him up there.
Okay.
And I'm also a massive Barcelona fan too. But if you want to stay within like the major sports in the US, Brady.
We don't have to.
Let me think. It's tough, man. It's tough because there's so many names that pop up.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got Brady and Messi.
It's a good 2 right there.
Brady, Messi, Marcus Smart is, I'm guessing, the third for Sani.
I was gonna say Peyton Pritchard, but
I found it. Jay, I told you I found his TikTok.
Yeah, is it
He'll do,
like
like
his
day in the life of an NBA game? It's like it's kind of interesting.
I think I've seen
I would actually watch
Yeah,
that.
it's kind of interesting. I like him giving us the insight.
Yeah.
But that can wrap up today's show. Sonny, thanks for coming on, man. You were
For real,
fantastic.
bro. It
We're-
was
appreciate
great.
you guys.
We're definitely gonna have you back
appreciate it. It was
on.
awesome.
We're definitely gonna have you back on before the end of the basketball season. We could definitely have you on the hoop chat as well.
For sure.
That'd be awesome, yeah.
Again, guys, please check out our color cast tomorrow. Download that app and hit me up, and I'll give you the details. Tune into that, and yeah, go Celtics. Their the first quarter is about to end. 3, 2, 1. Mark, nice. I don't know if you guys are watching. Schroeder
Yeah.
just hit a 3. All right, let's see. He just double dribbled. Nice end to the episode, huh, guys? 33-31 Celtics at the end of 1. We can go. I'll free
we'll see
you
how
guys
that
so we can go
goes.
watch the game.
Yeah. Thanks again for hopping on, Sonny. You was great, bro.
Of course,
And yeah, man,
anytime.
tap into everything
right.
we doing. It's gonna be a fun week for us.
Yeah. All right.
Anytime.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. Have a good night.